on this edition we're going to be doing the Premiere Pro, and we're going to learn how to do some of the basic things in Premiere. First thing you want to do is you want to click on the Adobe Premiere icon, which will bring up a loading screen, and that'll bring up your Premiere startup. You want to do a new setting, new project. Basically what you want to do here is, here's your video settings, such as your audio and video and stuff like that, for when you actually import video files into your new project. It's actually very important that you remember which settings that you shot your stuff on. I'm just doing a tutorial video, so I'm just gonna quickly go through this. I have recently shot another tutorial that I'm going to use as the video settings, so I don't really need to worry about this stuff for now. So I'll just name this do Josh's Josh's cool vid, put 2 many O's, part 1, and then you want to click OK on that, and that'll bring up another sequence which basically just shows you the available presets, which allows you to change the settings of your video. Basically you need to remember, again, like I told you, what you shot on, because then you just plug in these little presets and it will automatically set your settings for you when you bring your project into Premiere. Right now we're just doing a tutorial video, and I'm just going to be importing some files from my previous tutorials, like my previous tutorial, into Premiere, so I don't really need to worry about that right now. So I'll just rename this again, which is basically just your entire sequence name when you bring it up into Premiere. I'll call this again Josh's cool video part 1, and then click OK. Here is basically your dock settings. This is your entire dock right here. This will be your video viewer window, which when you bring in imported files, it'll go down to here, and then you'll basically just drop that into there, and then you can put the files back into your timeline, which you can manipulate and basically cut in and out points and set them so then once you're done here, you can bring them in here and you can create a video. This is actually a software that I've not shot, but I've actually edited enough of my music videos on, and I actually self-taught myself Premiere from doing that, and basically just working at it and doing more projects and stuff like that on the system. I actually didn't even take a class for this. I pretty much just did it myself, because I had previously been taught Final Cut Pro, which obviously is obsolete now. Basically this is your timeline, and obviously it looks kind of like a timeline because you've got your time settings and your time code, and if you want to, you can go through it individually of your scenes and time code it, and then when you bring it into Premiere, your finished product, it'll actually align your time code with your time code, and you can do stuff like that. Obviously it's a little bit more advanced, but I haven't done anything like that before. So without further ado, I'll show you how to import. You go to File and then Import, and this is my previously downloaded thing, which did not work this time. It was kind of crappy on it, so hopefully this time it works. See which one I want to do, and then you can click either both of them or one of them at a time. I'm only going to show you one of them because this is my previous tutorial, and I really just want to get through this and show you the nitty-gritty basics, because obviously I don't want to share everything because some of it needs to be kept secret, and for those of you that just started, you'll eventually learn how to do everything, and some of it is an art form, and you just got to know where dissolves work, where your transitions work, where they don't fit, and how to cut and edit film. Once you get that, you're basically an editor. So I'm going to click that, and then I'm going to import that, and it'll import the file, and it'll bring it right here, and then you can import it into here, which will be your viewer window. This is pretty much your final video settings. On my school's computers, we actually have 2 monitors set up with the FireWire cable, and you can, if I wanted to, I could undock the panel frame, which right here, and I can move over to the different monitor, which is pretty much my setup when I'm doing music videos, and then I'll just click out of that, and then I'll pretty much just enlarge the monitor. So I've got my viewer window here, and I've got my monitor on the right, and my viewers kind of big, so then I can just go through and scrub through stuff really easily, and I can set my in and out points whenever I want to. Obviously, I'm doing it on my Mac Pro at home, and I don't got another monitor setting to show you. Otherwise, I probably would. So yeah, that's pretty much it. You can resize these any size you want. It's pretty much up to you. But here's your video settings. To set your in and out points, basically all you do is press I on your undo. So like you'll go to your viewer settings and you'll click I, which will be your in and out. Your O will be your output setting. So I'll scrub towards the end of the video and I'll click O, which will set your out point. You can either drag the entire video or you can drag the entire audio file. For my purposes right now, I'm just going to drag the entire video and align it right here. Change settings, which will give you this yellow little outline, which means you have not rendered your entire video. This is nothing to worry about because you can actually scrub through your video in real time and actually edit your in and out points while you're editing your video, and even when you're doing your video effects, you can actually edit while doing that as well. It's actually more user friendly than Final Cut Pro, because in Final Cut Pro you set your markers and you set your in and out points using the razor blade tool, which I'll show you in a little bit, and then you put your transition effects on that, and you have to render it out first and then you can watch it after that. In Premiere, you don't have to do any of that. You can set your in and out points, you can set your dissolves and stuff like that, and you can also edit and see your video in real time at the same time and then just render it out later. That's kind of why most of the people nowadays use Premiere instead of Final Cut, just because it's easy and it saves you time and stuff like that. Obviously in the professional world they use both Premiere and Avid, which I have not trained on yet, but hopefully I will be trained on that this semester, and I can actually show you some tutorial videos on that. So without further ado, I'm going to import the rest of my video, and I'm going to import the audio file. You can do them again at the same time, or you can do it at different times. I just prefer it this way so I know I get it in. And then you can drag your audio file and then put it in here and align it with your video, and you can actually play it. So we'll take a look at that. So, hey guys, I'm actually doing a new screen capture, and I'm going to show you how to actually download. And for the purposes of time, I'm going to cut that a little bit. So you can basically just scrub through your entire video. You can set your audio gain, which is basically your levels right here, which is right here, and you can set it. Let's say you don't want it to be so loud and you want it so it's at a pretty enjoyable audio level. You can do that. You can go to, hold on, just set it to -12 or -18, whatever works for you. The minimal audio level for anyone's preferences is mostly -18, but obviously depending on your situation you can go up or down. Click OK, and then it'll automatically do that for you, and then your audio level will never go past that mark. So yeah, and now I'm going to show you how to actually edit dissolve points in here. First you want to go to a specific spot in your video, then you want to go to razor blade tool, which if you place it right here it'll cut a little bit of it, and you can even cut your video. Say you want to delete something, you don't like it, it doesn't fit where you want it, and it just doesn't, like, it's not for the entire video and you don't want it there, just click delete and it'll leave this huge gap. Now obviously you can take your video and move it in there like so, and then obviously it'll do that and it'll go scrub through the entire video and it'll be docked into the timeline. For my purposes I don't want to do that, so I'll just do Z, and there you go. So now if you want to put video frames in here such as a dissolve or something like that, all you have to do is go through the razor blade tool again and then go to effects, video transitions, dissolves, and you can do a number of these. I'm only going to show you one of them for now. Here is one that I use a lot for like my music videos and stuff, the additive dissolve, So basically what it does, if you have another frame that's completely different, it'll bleed into the next frame of your video, and it actually works quite well when you're doing that stuff, because you can transition from one scene to the next pretty easily, and it'll kind of combine each other, and it fits pretty good. Right now it doesn't work because it's the same video clip, but I'm gonna undo that, and then I'm gonna undo that as well, and now it's a full video frame. One of the main transitions that everybody uses is dip to black, which basically is it brings up your video and it ends your video. So most of the Hollywood films and stuff like that kind of do this, where kind of do fade in and then it'll bring up your video like that. And you can also scrub to the end of your video and basically do the same thing here, but add in a fade to black as well, and it'll basically fade out. So you go like that, and it fades out, and that's pretty much how you do the different video transitions. Obviously you can add text in it if you want a title, but you can bring this video in after you export it to After Effects, and then what I like to do is I kind of like to create my own titles, and I'm gonna check to see if I'm still recording. Looks like I'm good, so hooray for me. Yeah, so basically I like to bring it to After Effects, and then I like to create my own titles and create my own sequences, and then I like to put them in before and after, so you can do like your credits and you can do your titles in After Effects, but you can also do them in Premiere or Final Cut if you've got Final Cut. I don't really use that anymore, and you can't really buy that anymore, so this is what I've got. The last thing you want to do is export your file. What you do when you export a file is you go to, get out of QuickTime, you want to go to Edit, or not Edit, but first you want to render the entire sequence. I didn't show you that. Basically you can render the effects in work area, which is basically if you set if you set a razor blade point and you want to add an effect, and then you get the little red marker, which I showed you before. Basically you can render that effect in that area at that point in time, or you can put them all in, and then when you're done with the video, click Render Effects Entire Work Area, which will be this, and it'll render it, and basically it'll just pull up that little icon, and it'll take a little while. I'm gonna cancel that because I don't really need to sit through and render all of that. But basically what will happen is once you're done rendering, it'll play through the entire video, but obviously you can stop it and then you can scrub through wherever you want to, but it just helps just to let you see where you're at in your render. Now I'm gonna export the video file just for the sake of time, and because, well, I'm not gonna tell you about that. That's a personal issue. Yeah, so I'm gonna export it. I'm gonna go to Sequence. It's File, Export, and then didn't work. File, Export Media, and then what you can do here is you can scrub through your entire movie to make sure that you've actually selected the entire movie itself, and you can watch it in real time as well. Again, obviously you can't do sound because you're exporting your video out. You don't really need to hear sound when you're doing that. You can do it like in multiple ways. You can do fit and then all those different percentages, and it will cut your video down depending on where you want it, if you want to do that at the ending. And then you can click your output settings where you want to send it to, screen cap or something like that, wherever you send your files to at the end. And you want to obviously rename your files so that you can find it later. Right now I'm not going to do that because I don't want to send it. And then after that, what you basically want to do is you want to make sure your